it's share time now.
Dagney, honey, that's why you're here. We are talking with comedic actress Dagney Kerr, whose credits include Desperate Housewives and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We're talking about life in primetime and how creative artists are currently surviving during COVID. You don't want to miss this.
So that makes you a lying adult for skank.
Ooh, girl, why you gotta talk about Katrina like that? Wait, are you talking about Luke?
Steve, is this thing on?
Hey, Jeffrey, do you know what your problem is?
I'm an attention
You're,
whore.
you're selfish. And maybe where you used to live, you were the center of the world. But you know what? It's share time now. And I can think of no one better to share with than our guest today. She is an actress, a writer, a playwright, a singer, a dancer, all things amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Miss Dagney Kerr. Hi, Dagney. How are you?
I love that intro. I was like, yes, it's share time now.
It is share time. It is share time on more than one level. So where are you coming from today with us?
Coming from my floor in Hollywood. I'm sitting on the floor. I'm like, should I be like on a chair? But I'm like, I really love sitting on the floor. I always have since I was a kid. So I'm sitting on my floor and I'm in Los Angeles, in Hollywood to be exact.
And how's LA going during these modern COVID times?
This modern world. I don't know. I haven't been outside in over a year. I have no idea what's happening.
Well, look, could be worse. You could have your face ripped off again.
Yes.
But...
Well, actually, that probably would be better.
You could use it as a mask, really, couldn't you?
Exactly. That is the only good thing about the masks, because we've been wearing them for so long, is I haven't had to worry. But like my base that I bought like years ago, like that's gonna last me for so long because I haven't had to wear any like makeup. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, this good base is. I don't have to wear powder.
Highs and lows. Highs and lows.
Mask and some big old sunglasses.
Exactly. But no, it's good. It's getting better.
Well, that's great. Look, I think the whole world is slowly getting better and we can almost get back to normal. But today, my dear, it's all about you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
We just want to cover your life, really, don't we, Luke?
Wow.
We do. And Dagney, I went into research mode, Dagney. I went back. Yeah. Like even that you're an understudy as a ballet dancer or an apprentice.
I thought you were going to bring out a photo of me from the 80s with my big hair.
Oh.
I would have
brought send that to us. I'll put that in after.
I'm pretty proud of it. I was like, wow, I really wasn't there. Yes, I started out as a dancer, and still am a dancer, but that's my first love, always will be, is dancing. So I started as a very young age and did everything from, everyone kind of starts in ballet, so it's kind of the foundation, and then was in a ballet company, grew up in Cincinnati, and then continued dancing. That's actually what brought me out to Los Angeles, was I was pursuing dance. I was in the show Cabaret, the musical, out here in Southern California, and then I just kind of ended up out here afterwards. So, yeah, good digging.
Is it the soundtrack that's on your IMDb credits?
The soundtrack for...
I don't know. It had a soundtrack, and I clicked on the link, and it said the song was You Dick.
Oh, that's from a movie. So I did a movie. I did a movie with Sherry O'Terry and
cool.
and Ricky Lake. And my character. It's so, my IMDb is so weird. Like I don't know why that's a credit. Like, and we don't put those on there. They just like things just show up. So somehow because I sing that song in a movie, I'm credited on a soundtrack, which is so weird. Because in the movie, I'm just screaming. Like, I don't know, that is very weird. So no, I don't think I can call myself a soundtrack artist. It's just like the credit.
I was desperately trying to Google it before the show.
Oh, how funny. You guys are Googling some really weird things.
We like to do our due diligence.
Girl, Pebbles, you doing Pebbles on stage.
Oh my God.
And this guy shows up and he's the only one in heels. But you had it down. I was like, years ago in another lifetime, I did a little stage. I needed you to come, Corey. I was dying. I was living for it. So I was watching a bunch of your little videos.
I love it. So that's what I still like to do with my dancing. Now that I'm a little older and that my arabesque isn't quite as high, I do like to do like funny comedy dance videos. So yes, I do a lot of theater out here in Los Angeles. So that was from one of like the regular theaters. Actually, Jane Lynch used to perform in that show with me. And so it was just a fun like, sketch show, and you could kind of do whatever you want. So I would grab my friends and just create dance numbers. But I love that you loved the Pebbles video. It's one of my favorites.
I was like, and the thing was, I had done that song in a wig myself, so I was like, did it so much better. And then I saw Almost Paradise.
You were pulling out the oldies but goodies.
Listen, if you guys you need to get on YouTube, go search her and look these videos up, because
we'll link them in the description.
Yeah, they're kind of funny to watch on YouTube because they're obviously meant to be live, and sometimes when you tape things, it's sort of like, what is this? But the girlfriend video, I love. That was, and anytime I can wear a shoulder padded blazer, it's always, that's always fun. Thank you.
They don't make shoulder pads like they did in the 80s.
I actually have a little bit in right now, but I'm a big fan of shoulder pads.
Yeah, I should get some because I don't have shoulders. Girl, it's a little rough.
So we're gonna jump straight into your TV work. Girl, you have done some stuff on some shows. You've been a busy beaver. So Jeffrey is a huge Desperate Housewives fan, aren't you, Jeffrey?
Yeah. Well, because they were all from Melrose Place. I'm like, I'm gonna move over here. But how's that?
I love it.
Tell us about Nurse Ruth Ann a little bit. How was your experience with that show?
Oh, it was really fun. I just came on to do one episode, so I was in, I believe it was the first season. Early on, so I was just doing the one episode, and then they called me back. Gosh, I don't know. Jeffrey, you probably know better than I do. I don't know the other seasons I was in, but there was quite a bit of distance between that first time that I did it and then when they called me back. And then I think I did a few episodes. I don't remember, but it was great.
I think it was about 4, if my research was correct, 4 or 5 that you actually featured. And I think they were spaced over a few different seasons. So you were like a recurring character, which was really cool because obviously Desperate Housewives was like a dramedy, and I think whenever Nurse Ruth Ann was there, you knew the comedy was going to be just full and
because someone was going to die or their blood pressure was going to go down because I had not taken my exam. But somehow
that's right.
I didn't pass my nurse's exam. They didn't even ask me.
No one asked you.
The funny thing is, Dagney, Luke, and Vera are both nurses. So,
wow. I did not do your healthcare justice.
Oh, look, I appreciated probably where Nurse Ruth was at mentally.
I was like, I'm sure you've. This is actually kind of side topic, but I did a play, fairly recently before COVID, and it's a very dark comedy, and I play a suicide helpline worker who actually is encouraging people to get it over with because it's obviously dark, but you're laughing.
It's Jeff if you're on a hotline.
But I'm like, what have you done ever in your life that you could follow through? Now's their chance. So it's very funny, but it was very hard, because when you do it live, when you're doing live theater, the energy permeates, right? It's like if there's people that are no, that energy permeates, and then the other people are I'm afraid to laugh. I think this is funny. So one night we had these front row of women that were just, we could get 2 lines out before they were just laughing hysterically. And we're like, oh my God. So afterwards they're like, oh my Lord, we work at a hotline. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
We got it. That's really funny. So I can't imagine how difficult that field is. And I'm sure at times, even though you have best intentions, I'm sure mentally you can't help but just get exhausted and just want to be like, oh my Lord, this person. So
I think during the whole COVID thing as well, it's been stressful. Hey Vera, it hasn't been, the most fun front line to be on, but we signed up for this.
That first 3 months when everybody was staying home and you were still going to work and you were still seeing patients and you had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. No, huge applause for you guys, because I mean, it's an intense job anyway, but during this time to be doing that, and like, let's not even get into mask wearing, and like, you guys wear masks every day. It's like not a big deal. It's like, oh, I just don't even get it. But we don't want to go down that dark. We don't want to go down the dark mask.
I kind of want. Was that show taped that you did about the hotline?
Say that again.
Was that show taped about the hotline you did? I need to get my hands on that.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I don't think it's online anywhere. You know, theater's sort of weird. You have to get approval usually through equity to keep things. So like some of that stuff that's online was just kind of like somebody posted it. But no, if we ever do it, I will let you know, because it is hilarious.
It is my favorite type of like, I have that dark sense of humor.
Yeah, and you either got to have it or you don't, right? You got to appreciate that humor or you just don't. And I love it. Like, I even love old John Waters films, things like that, where it just goes way too far, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to keep watching.
You are too young if you're calling John Waters old.
Listen, when you're doing a daycare interview with parents and they ask, you know, they say their kids real difficult, and you say, here, I'm gonna give you a phone number, and you tell them it's Casey Anthony's number. You know, they gotta be the type of people for it. It doesn't always.
They have to understand. Like,
yeah. You know, so I knew like either they were gonna work out or they had to go. Yeah.
That's your icebreaker.
Yeah, it really
Dagney.
Yes.
Was comedy always something that drew you, like, had appeal for you? Like, I know you started out as a dancer, but a lot of your work has that comedy element to it. Is that something that you were wanting to be the serious actress, as per se?
You know, I can't really say I ever really thought about it so much. Hi, Kat.
There she is.
I honestly think what actually was pretty, like, dancing was always my way of expressing myself. And I think I didn't really discover like my comedic. I mean, even though I grew up doing a lot of musical theater, which obviously has a showmanship and a comedic timing to it. But I really kind of discovered my like comedic voice kind of out here when I was taking classes. Really, it started with writing. I started writing like some monologues, and then I remember my teacher saying, "Oh my gosh, Dagney, like this is your voice, like this comedic voice. You have to really like harness this." And then I just started getting roles that kind of combined my, I guess, like my comedic side and my physical side, and just kind of rolled from there. But it's definitely not something that I ever thought growing up, like I'm going to be a funny, like I'm going to do funny things, or I'm going to do a serious. I think really, I never really thought about it, to be honest.
To have that, you know, that good comedic timing, though, is once again a very fine art form that not a lot of actors really do have. And I think that's what you always brought to the table. And that's...
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that probably honestly comes from dance, because there's an internal rhythm to dancing. And I think you'll find a lot of people that have danced or have done musical theater or musicals, they definitely, it's easier for them to kind of just go into comedy, because you just have an ear for when, or you're kind of, when you're reading, you know, a script and it's comedic, you're hearing it because it's timing and it's music. So I think having that background and starting so early, probably with music and dance, probably helps with that, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Also with the physical stuff as well, I would guess.
Definitely. Yeah, it's really surprising when I started out here, like how many actors actually don't have a background in like movement, and it's so helpful and so important. And I love it. I can't sit still. I'm always like wanting to like dance. Like people are like, oh, that character doesn't do that. That character is sitting, and I'm like, really? I want to do this. I want to do this. Like,
well, my interpretation is this.
Head to the toe.
Is this just vocally, or are we seeing us? Because
no, we're seeing us. We're seeing us.
We will
we're probably like, what is this person doing? Like, if I'm just, you know, going on.
We forget sometimes as well.
Yes. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
So Dagney, we gotta get into the big gun as well now. What was it like being cast on Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And also, like, the show is not known. It has comedic episodes, but like this is one of the funniest episodes that show's ever seen in all 7 years that it was on.
Yeah.
And it was great chemistry between you and Sarah. So what was it like, coming into a well-oiled machine and working with established actors on a show like Sarah and the rest of the cast, because they were like a pretty close-knit cast as well.
Definitely. Buffy was one of those experiences that is definitely one in a lifetime. First of all, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll get another role like that, but where you can combine comedy, drama, fighting, masks, like it just it had everything. And it was also one of the easiest, it was the easiest audition I've ever had in my entire life. I remember I walked into the room. The scene I had to read was the one where I put up the Celine Dion poster. So it's just a quick fun. It's going to be super fun, that one. And it was just myself. It was Joss, who I had no idea who he was. He was sitting there, the casting director. I read it once. I left. I thought that was all I had, was just that one scene. And then I got a call later that says, oh, okay, so you booked the role. And then when they sent me the script, I was like, oh.
Ooh.
No. And then I laughed because I think to myself, like, I had to do like fighting. And I was like, they didn't ask me anything like, do you have like, are those both your, like, they didn't ask, like, can you move? Like, even on set, they're just like, okay, stand there. You're going to go, oh. Like, I was like, oh my God, what if I said, this isn't a real arm?
You have it here first, ladies and gentlemen. All of her parts are real.
Like this arm isn't real. It'll come off if I try to, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just like, I think of all the smaller things that I did, like 6 Feet Under, and I had to go in like 5 times, and it was just like maybe a handful of lines. It was pretty small. And then this one, they were just trusted. Like, she's the right person. We don't know to see her do any other scenes. She can fight. Like, so a lot of trust with that. And I think, and then I remember showing up the first day. When you show up, when you're just guesting, there's no hand holding. You just have to jump in as you've been there since day one too. I remember standing, they had the room set up, like the dorm room. And then I didn't even get a chance to say hello to Sarah. We just went right into our rehearsal and just read our lines. And then I remember sitting across from each other on the beds. And I remember just being like, this is so awkward. Like, what do you say? Like,
hi, I didn't mean to hit you.
Each other. And then I was like, this is so weird. But she was great. Everybody was great. She actually did thank me with what Connie you said afterwards. She said it was really fun for her to do something comedic. So we actually finished.
Well, that was one of the questions that one of the fans, because I trolled a bit of Reddit and stuff. I was like, look, is there something that you want us to ask Dagney? And one of the things that they said was, did Sarah drink all the milk?
He sure did.
And I was going to say, how many takes did that take for her? Like, it would have been just...
I don't think it was very many. You know what's so funny? I actually have that carton. I think I actually used it for your cameo.
For my cameo, yay!
Someone brought me a carton of milk in Paris at a convention. Someone brought me an iron. Like, it was hilarious, but I have that
I
carton.
can only imagine how many cartons of milk, eggs, Celine Dion posters, and Cher CDs you see.
It's so fun. I love it. Yes, she.
And do you get asked, do you iron your jeans all the time?
Oh, that's funny. You have the picture. Someone gave me that. Do I iron my jeans? Yes. Well, I mean, doesn't everybody iron their jeans? I mean, no, I'm kidding. I don't iron.
Not Jeffrey.
I don't iron my shirt.
I don't think anyone does. No demons. But it was a really fun. It's a lot of work doing an hour show, and especially with everything that she and the rest of the cast had to do. I mean, you've got prosthetics, you've got fighting, you've got drama. I mean, it's a very long process to do a show like that, and it's an hour long. But she was
another thing fans were saying. Like, do you think Kathy should have had a longer storyline?
Yeah, I think it would have. They packed a lot into that second episode. The thing is they have these plotted out, right? They have exactly where they want to go, like before. I think you could have definitely strung that tension along, and then add one big blow up. It was a lot to cover in one episode, going from a poster to, it was a pretty quick arc. But we have no say in that. Obviously,
I think you would have been great as just like, that show is famous for kind of having these little mid-season or like last episode twists where we didn't know if your demon parent was stalking for the whole season, and then like the last episode you're just revealed to be this demon thing. I think that would have been amazing, because
it would have been amazing,
especially with roommates. It doesn't necessarily blow up that quickly. Like it's a slow process. And you're like,
yes.
I'm gonna kill.
Well,
this
they played
bitch.
it fun in a way that like she's acting really crazy, like she's evil, she has to die. They're just like, holy crap, she snapped.
Crazy. I was watching it, and I'm like, I thought Buffy was a bitch.
Thank you.
She wasn't doing anything wrong. I'd have been pissed. I'd have beat the Vampire Slayer's ass if she had left gum on my nightstand.
Thank you, Jeff.
No.
You know what we say to that? Hashtag justice for Kathy.
Yeah.
Hashtag
And then
justice
she had to go
for Kathy.
and then Buffy's gonna rip off her face.
Finally, someone understands.
No, I was mad, man. I was like, oh hell no, she just drank your milk and shit.
She did. She was not a good roommate.
Rude.
She didn't give me a chance, but I felt like Kathy could have even been an ally to her at one point. Kathy just needed some time to understand how things go.
Kathy was a little hoish.
She
getting on the dude she's talking to. Love that. She just
Takes one to know one, Jeffrey.
That's right, honey. I appreciate it. And Buffy, well, girl, maybe you should have came back home early.
That is well, thank you.
Did you see the sock hanging on the doorknob?
Love it.
Yeah, Buffy's just a bitch. I'm sorry, Sarah.
Fine. I'll show you share time.
Wow, late revelations from Jeff. But, so, with your movement background, you were saying, did you do a lot of those stunts yourself?
Well, everything that you see, so, I act with Sarah's stunt double and she acts with my stunt double for safety. So everything where the action was on me, yes. Now there was one really major one where the lady's dragging her across the floor. I mean, you can tell by her quads. I was that's definitely not
Sarah's stunt double looks nothing like her, because there was an earlier scene. I was like, come on.
Yeah, she's the same physical size. Yeah, that's really the important thing, because Sarah's really tiny, very petite. But yes, I did a lot of them. I remember the one, it was really hard. I had to throw myself back against the bed, and I remember I kind of did it wrong at first, and there was the wood was there from the bed and kind of hurt my back a little bit. But I mean, it was intense. They didn't mess around. They were just that doesn't, our stunt or coordinator was like, it looks too dance-like, because I was ballet. He's like, it's
correctly start assembly and fall. She's down.
It is an art form, just like everything else is in that world, and it's thank you.
But I think we've all been there with falling backwards on the bed the wrong way.
Okay, girl. Yes,
we feel you.
But it's definitely an art form too. It's interesting what you think you need to do. It's not supposed to look like that. It's almost like you have to overdo the movement, but it's very hard. But anyway, I had to pick it up fast because they just came out and the stunt coordinator's like, do this.
They say martial arts and dancing are very hand in hand though, because it is learning steps and patterns, and it works well for choreographed fights.
Muscle memory.
So at least yes. Because honestly, imagine I didn't have an arm and I had no movement background. I would have been lost. I would have been like, you want me to do what? I don't understand.
I just want to be like you. I want people to look at me and know I can fight.
There you go.
I think that's the best part of your audition. They just looked and they knew.
I know. That's true, Kat. I never thought of that.
Buffy before Desperate Housewives or after? I didn't look.
It was before.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say
Yeah.
we're kind of like all over in Desperate in the hospital scene with like the Susan character. You guys were
Yes.
going
Yeah, I
nuts.
worked a lot with Terry. She's so great.
Is she?
She's fantastic. So was Eva. I worked with Eva once, and they were both awesome. I never met the other housewives, but I just worked with Eva.
Jeffrey's just waiting for the tea. He wants to hear the bad stuff. She doesn't have any tea for you, Jeffrey.
I don't have any tea for you. I
It's
wish
always
I
my
could.
favorite Marsha that was always seems to be the one that was in trouble. They were thrown under the bus. But poor Terry, I love her.
Oh, I never met Marcia or Felicity or what's her name?
Nicolette.
Nicolette, thank you. Just Terry and
Well, briefly,
yeah.
Nicolette, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you and Terry worked well. Once again, though, the comedic timing between the two of you was really good
She's
chemistry.
really funny. Yeah, she's a really good actress, but and really very present. Like I remember when I met her, and again, it's one of those things. It's such a weird thing. Imagine going into someone's house. This is what I equate it to. When you're a guest star, it's like you go into someone's house and you just start decorating and making yourself a plate of food, and then just have to act like that's just normal. Like it's very strange. No one introduces you, and no one says, "Hi, Terry, this is Dagney." You just literally walk on set, and then they're like, "Okay, let's do this," and then you just go and do your rehearsal, and then maybe after you say, "I'm Dagney, by the way." Like it's very weird, but she's really like right away. Like I was like, wow, she's really good. She's really present and just looks kind of like right through you, and very clear, and would say to me like, give me direction, not in a weird way, like. But she's like, when you do that, I love what you're doing. Grab me here, and then I'll just like, she's great. Yeah, she was awesome.
I think everybody that's pretty much worked with her more one-on-one, they've loved her. Like it was really kind of just like I think them putting women together against each other that it blew up into what it was. Like just because you work with somebody doesn't mean you're friends.
Right.
Like I think people and fans don't realize that.
I mean, hello.
Yeah, I can
you know
imagine.
it, Steve.
Well, cast chemistry is a tricky thing, and then you put on top of that, success and pay grades. I mean, when things blow up like that, then it's a whole other thing,
That's where being the guest star is good, because you can be like, and I'm out.
You get your measly 10 cents and you walk away.
But look, you did what? Two episodes of Buffy, and I'm sure that is what you get harassed for nearly every day of your life.
I have my own little bobblehead.
That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Pop figure. Pop figure. Pop. What are they called?
Pop vinyl.
Pop idol. Yeah, I have a little pop idol. That's crazy to me. Like you would never think as a guest star or a recurring character that you will still be, after all these years later, still. I mean, I still have the same hair, so that's in place. But yeah, I mean, it's a real treat, and it's something. Of course, you're not thinking about that. If you are, you're definitely in the wrong headspace. If you're thinking when you're doing something, someone's going to be knowing me forever. That would be weird. But
my one story arc was amazing. Oh.
I was fantastic. People can't get enough of me.
My arm fell off.
You just do your thing and you move on.
Well, I think if you fall back on a bed properly, that person who witnessed it will remember you for the rest of your life.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that. Well, it was only the crew members that saw that, so it didn't really take me that far, but thank you.
But I do think if your arm fell off, you'd still be a GIF showing up on the internet all over the place.
Very true.
So I saw that you were in a playwrights festival, Page to Stage, right? 2019.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of playwright festivals. So I started, I've been writing for a little while. I started doing like one-woman shows and things kind of back in the 90s, early 2000s. Those were very big at the time. And it's when actually people really went out to theater, and things weren't so much digital, and web series weren't a thing back then. So I had a few shows then, but then I hadn't really done much writing beyond that. And then I was in a writing group I guess it was about 6 years ago, and I started writing some plays, and then and then my playwriting career is taken off. This I didn't mean to have this here. I actually was taking a photo because someone wanted it, but like this is one of my plays are in this beautiful noir anthology. It seems weird that I just had it, but I was just taking a picture of it before I hopped on.
No,
but the audience wants to buy it. Where can they find that?
You know what? And this was something that someone else not produced, put together. You can buy it on Amazon. It's called Play Noir Anthology. This actually, if anyone is a fan of noir plays, this is
definitely love it
collection. And mine is right here. So this is my first published piece. So it's really exciting. Dagney Kerr. It's called Swindled Heart, and so there it is. There's my play
in the print, so it's real.
I was looking on the list, bro. You had a bunch of stuff that you've won tons of awards. I saw that there was a Christmas show, that Holiday Fever. You had 10 seasons where it was sold out. Stay won the best play in the Sherman's Ward Junior Award for excellence in playwriting. I don't know if I said that right. And we had Deep Sea Dagney, which I'm like, girl, can you just why Deep Sea Dagney? Honey, what were you doing?
Oh my gosh, that was one of the shows I did, or that I wrote for myself. That actually was about a woman who was obsessed with Pat Benatar, so you might enjoy that one.
As you are.
Hitchhiking
Fair
to
call.
Mars.
That was my second one. Yes, that was
Dalton.
Dalton. Yep.
Is Dalton a short film?
Yes.
Dalton is a short film. Yeah.
Yes.
Dalton, well, it's a play. It was a play first. Yeah. Dalton had quite a life. It started as a play. It still is a play. It's about a middle-aged couple who were having their first child, and they're trying to name him, but it's really just about the woman's fear of having a child because her own relationship with her mom is not well. But it's very funny. And it won all kinds of play festivals, and then actually ABC used it they have a showcase every year for actors in New York, and so they chose my play, my scene from that play that I wrote. They chose that as their ABC showcase, and then I did a short film, and it was in the Los Angeles International Film Festival. I think that was 3 years ago now. It was like I think 3 years ago, but yeah,
so awesome.
Thank you so much.
And you're doing a new play now, aren't you? And
Say that again.
You're doing a new play right now. Is it Deanna and Paul?
Well, these are all like what you're on right now is kind of like an IMDb for playwrights. So you basically like put up your work. So I get a lot of work from that, where everyone from colleges to theaters all over town will email me and say, oh, we really love that play. Can we produce it? And then you give them permission.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's kind of how
cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I have to say, I don't know if I love it better than acting. It's very different, right? It's still expressing, but I think in some, I don't know if I feel, I don't know how to say it. It's like when I write something and someone responds to it, I'm definitely very touched. I think a little bit more deep than when someone responds to my acting, because it's definitely like when you're acting, you're taking someone else's work and bringing it to life. And when it's your own, and it's kind of like, it's like once removed, like, here, I hope you like it. And then when you're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't do anything with it. I didn't put like live characters to it or music. You just read it and you were like crying. I'm like, oh, thank you.
It's very much like, for the dance world, it's very much like a choreographer getting credit for a piece. It's a different, because I'm a dance teacher choreographer as well. So yeah. So I can equate it to that, because I'm, everyone on the panel's done a bit of acting. So
Kitty was on a sketch show on Nickelodeon called All That. So she knows all about
she's our professional child star.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, what's that like though, Dagney? Like, I guess that's a different feeling though too, to create something and write something and then watch it back with other people's interpretations.
Well, initially when I started writing, it was to give myself a vehicle, because that was always encouraged. Like, hey, don't wait for somebody else to create something for you. You write it, you create it, you produce it. Like Kaylee Coco, she just did that with the flight attendant. Like obviously she's a big star and was already on a show, but I was watching a talk back because I thought that show was great. And she said that she
love that show.
Wasn't that great? I was just watching their talk back, their SAG talk back, and she was saying that she got the book and she became the executive producer because she knew that no one was going to hire her to play that role. And she's probably right, because they would have said like, oh, Big Bang Theory, she can't do this, because you get pigeonholed, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, good for her. So that's originally why I started writing. But then as I got in this writing group and, let me let someone else do it. Oh, they can actually do it. Like, I there's that control part of you that thinks, I don't know if anyone would be able to like get this timing of this, and then once you see people take it and have that experience, it's very fulfilling. Now you also see people take it and you're like, oh my God, they just
shit.
Yeah, but
but you see them destroy it, and then the audience responds to them, and you're like,
totally, Vera.
Shit.
Yeah, and you're like, you're going, and people are like, oh, that was so good, and you're like, they didn't even get the lines right.
You should keep them the handbook,
Exactly.
the playbook handy for the call center. So when they do a shit job, you could just hand and be like, read this, it'll help.
Exactly.
Cordelia, have some lemonade.
No, it is. It's an interesting experience. But that one place, Stay, that you mentioned, that one is about actually a relationship between two dogs. They're played just like friends, they're played just like humans, and it's really funny, but it's really poignant. The one dog, he hasn't seen his friend in a while at the park, and it turns out he has cancer. And
the German Shepherd.
Yes, Sammy. And it's really just about grief and letting go. But I feel like when you tell it through the story of animals, people pay attention more because people have a soft spot. But that one, I feel kind of bad because every live show I've went to, people are embarrassed at how they're bawling. Like they're doing
the Oprah cry.
Like, I feel like I'm glad you're having a reaction, but you can tell people like they're trying to like hold it in, like that ugly cry, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I destroyed it. I destroyed you," and they're like, "Oh my God, that play," and I'm like, "I know." They're like, "Oh," it's like, "I'm so sorry," but not. I mean, I'm glad you had that reaction.
That reaction's what you want, right? You're like, aha, I got in there. I got into those feelings.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So we'll jump back to you've been on some fairly big shows of their time. Tell us a little bit about 6 Feet Under.
Oh, 6 Feet Under. I'll never forget that experience with Kathy Bates. Talk about intimidating. That lady scared the hell out of me. She's intense. Yeah, really intense.
There's your tea, Jeff.
And not for any reason other than she's just an intimidating person. Just now we had no exchange of I am Dagney, I am Kathy. We had nothing. It was the scene, and then in between the scenes it was nothing. She was all business, but I mean, she's so great. It was her and Frances McDormand, and so we had a scene together, and that was it. Yeah, it was just super intense and really.
Steve is jealous.
But I was like, internally you have that like, oh my gosh, like this person's really intense. But I had another character where I had to be kind of like toe to toe with her, and it was fun. I think. Yeah, I could see sometimes in her eyes like, oh, she's really coming at me. So I was like, I'm not going to back down, Kathy. You take your fried green tomatoes and you go home. Like, no, I didn't do that.
especially after Misery, like you're like, this is Kathy Bates. Like, I don't want to mess Kathy Bates through where she's going to hobble me in the makeup room.
She's just an intimidating presence. Like if you meet her, she's a great actress, and she carries that in weight when she's across from you, and you have that moment of like, oh, and then you have that moment of like, all right, Dagney, bring it back. This is fight with her. So you rise to the challenge when they come at you. But it was cool.
But you did Reba as well, didn't you?
I did. Oh my God, how cute is Reba?
I love Reba.
Who doesn't love Reba? She's Reba. The cutest lady ever. So sweet. Now she's so fun. I remember she was like, come here, girl. I need to run these lines. And then like we were like running our scene together. She's so cute. Yeah. She was a dream to work with.
Such a great show too. Underrated sitcom, that one.
I agree.
Yeah,
There's
I agree.
Great actors on there. Yeah.
What a great actors.
Actors.
So tell us about ER. Sorry, Jeff. You're on ER as well.
Oh, ER. Yeah. I was on the later, like, I think actually, I was almost on the second to last episode of ER.
Oh, wow.
How long ago that show had been on. Yeah, I wasn't with any of those people. I was with Angela Bassett.
Well,
My scene was with Angela Bassett, who was amazing.
I can
You would scare
imagine.
the shit out of me.
And what's her name from Dead to Me? Linda Cardellini.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, phew. I was like, oh my gosh, talk about being super intimidated and someone putting you to ease. Angela Bassett. So the scene is I was pregnant and I was dying and I had this artery that was being well, it's ER, you know. I had what is
hard
that?
to make that funny.
Yes, this one was very serious, so there was no dancing happening. Bernie.
Be like, help it, Dr. Ross.
My baby's gonna die. So I'm like, holy crap! Stella got her groove. Like, this is Angela freaking Bassett. She's gorgeous. She's just like, I love her. So she had, you know, it is no joke to work on a show like that with all that jargon. I mean, you know, and she had to say something in the scene about some sort of artery that she was talking, and she kept flabbing it, and she's like, "What is it again?" They're like, 15 the artery. She's like, "Okay, got it." And she's so sweet. Like, I don't care how many. She's into it, and she's like, "Dagney, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh my god, like, don't worry, it's totally fine." Like, how sweet is that? Like, she was apologizing for having to do like. 4 takes because, you know,
Like,
and I just,
Well, because you were dying. I mean, she was.
yes,
She was
like, oh my
concerned.
God, totally. She was in character. She was method. But I just thought that was so sweet. I just thought that was so kind of her to like, she was, you know, getting frustrated because it's really hard, you know, to know all that. I mean, they're not doctors and, you know, and even myself, like I had to ask the guy, what does one, when they're going through this, what are they doing? Because they have what do you call it? A real doctor on the set to coach you and tell you what would really be happy. He's like, you would be out of breath, you'd be hyperventilating at this point. So, you know, you're expected to do that on the spot, just as she's expected to all of a sudden know a whole 4 years of medical school and everything. So I was
going to say, though, isn't it the magic of TV, though? Because usually a lot of medicine is trial and error to get to that point.
You know, yeah.
And I'm learning every day on my job, all the time.
Exactly.
Because there's always new things. It's like, oh, haven't seen that before, but now I'll know.
Exactly.
Like, but and they just got to know on the spot because, you know, they got to tell the story real quick.
Totally. So it's like on top of like bringing good acting, you know, they always have to remember all these things and what they would be doing with these tools and where their hands would be. But she's a dream, and Linda Cardellini is fantastic, and John Stamos who I met and worked with.
Yum.
Also super.
Jesse.
So I got the good-looking group of ER.
Yeah.
But Dagney, did they save the baby?
Yes, I lived. Yes, Angela.
Oh, you lived as well. Oh,
So
and you.
my baby got her groove back. Yes.
Oh, good. I love it.
She saved my baby. Angela did. So I'll be always indebted to her. No, and she is gorgeous. I mean, she's gorgeous on screen, but like in person, I kept thinking like, don't stare at her. I was like her skin, like she's beautiful, and just her spirit is beautiful too. Like she's gorgeous.
I'm gonna put your name in for 911 because I want to see that character come back now with a child and be like on 911. Every time you saved my life when you were a doctor.
Remember that?
Well, Dagney, that brings up a really good point. You've worked with a lot of cast members of American Horror Story. Maybe we should maybe you should.
Oh, Kathy.
Maybe Kathy, Francis, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Angela.
Maybe you should. We should put you forward for Ryan Murphy. Maybe actually, I think you'd be great on Ratched.
Okay.
Have you seen
I have
Ratched?
not seen it.
You need to check it out. I think we could have
a nurse that can.
We could have a Kathy character, like a Kathy nurse character. That would be.
We got your back, girl.
Somebody. Just be fun.
So, what about George Lopez? What can you tell us about your little role as Claudia?
George Lopez, so good. Another awesome. That was such a highlight working with George, and it was a very big deal because at that time they had not really had a family that looked like that on TV, like as a sitcom, really on a mainstream ABC sitcom. So now, of course, there's all kinds of shows like that on TV, but at that time, it was a very big deal for him and for that whole family. It was awesome. Yeah, it's always fun filming in front of a live audience and hard as well, because if a joke doesn't land, they just rewrite things on the spot and they go, here's this, and you have to be very, very fast at memorizing because there's no time. You just do this. It's pretty intense. Those writers are intense too because they got to come up with stuff on the spot. They're in huddles going, okay, let's try this. And then they go, here you go. Kat, new pages. Here you go, new pages.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say that, Kat, with your sketch comedy background, you'd be knowing all about rewrites on the fly, wouldn't you?
Oh, it's awful. We would get new rewrites every day, like a whole new script. So we'd memorize it on the way, or in school, or in hair and makeup, and then we'd be performing live, and then right there. Oh no, we're changing the whole thing.
I know. It's like you can't memorize anything until you can't really ever because it's always the same. So I guess that's the nice thing about doing more like our shows is that usually when the pages that you get
stay the same.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice,
They're not yelling Ross Perot, go, Ross Perot, go.
But George is fantastic, and he is just hilarious and awesome, and I loved working with him.
So you jumped from Buffy to Pretty Little Liars. That's like 2 generations of sexy teen drama.
That was an interesting little thing they had going there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Some of them kind of you forget about, not that it was a forgettable experience, but it's just not as.
There was so many. I was going to say, is it nerve-wracking though going into when we start a new job, it's like and you were just thrown into these new environments,
Absolutely.
new cars all the time.
It can be very anxiety ridden. I mean, imagine being, I guess, like a high school student and going to a new high school every day. I mean, it's kind of like that. I mean, everybody else knows each other. There's a rhythm. The crew know each other. So, I mean, even just hoping you find the place where you're supposed to go to can be nerve-wracking. You're like, I'm going the right way. I put my ways on.
End up guessing on a completely different show.
Exactly. I do a lot of commercials too, so that's the thing too. You're always in a different spot. For those, the good thing is you're all new to each other, but you end up seeing a lot of the same crew too. Like I'll work a lot and be like, oh hey, you were my DP on The District or whatever. So you do kind of know people, but it's not easy to just get in there and then gel with somebody or hate them instantly. Like whatever you're supposed to do, there's no
fight them.
Fight them with your false arm. I mean, you can't think about it. You just have to jump in, and it feels a little weird at first. I did Bosch recently, and I never said anything to Titus, and I never saw him. And then they go, let's do a rehearsal. And then all of a sudden he was in front of me and we're just doing our scene. And then we ended and he looked at me and then he walked away. And I was
Such a big Such a big move.
So
that's alpha
not anything mean or anything. He's just we did our thing and he looked at me and that ended, and then he went and sat in his chair, and I stayed behind in my chair, and that was
this is how what's her touch there with the little kids product company said the 90210 girls they were mean girls with the guest.
Oh no, I don't think he was mean. He was. I don't know what
you
didn't interact. We just said, we did our
scene. That you were like, I don't care if it's the last show on earth. I will never fucking go back.
That's unfortunate. I will say I've never had that experience on any show that I've ever worked. So that's good. I can honestly say I've never, ever had an experience where I felt unwelcomed. I mean, my own things are just my own feelings of like, you know, standing across from Titus because he's very, very intimidating as well. Just his energy and his eye. It's like, oh my Lord, this guy's gonna kill me. You know, just your own like weirdness of like, oh, I wonder if he's like, is this lady good or who is this lady? Like you don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
You know, yeah, probably the nicest, probably top is Patricia Heaton.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah. Oh wow, you guys are on it. My gosh. I actually bought that outfit off of the wardrobe people, so I wear that a lot in commercials. But I'm like, I remember that.
But speaking of awkward situations, that episode was so good,
right?
so good.
Those writers are funny. Now, funny when I walked onto the set, the director had directed me and George Lopez. So then it was like, oh, hey, I remember you. So, you know, sometimes you get someone that, oh, you did my makeup before, or, you know, I like when people are like, oh, sometimes the makeup people are like, oh, remember I did your makeup for, I don't know what show, American Horror Story, in like, even though it wasn't me, I'll go, oh yeah, just because it makes me feel like I was. I've done that
add it to your credits. Add it to the credits. Yeah, that girl thinks I was in that.
Make it for this.
Put it on my IMDb. It's fine.
I'm like, yeah, how have you been? Because then I feel like, oh, good, someone knows me, but they think I'm someone else. That is
That is one of my favorites.
Speaking of, check this out, Castle. Nathan Fillion, great story. He freaking left me. Oh, I just have to grab it. It's right here. Oh, why do you guys have a clip of everything? Oh my God, I gotta show you this. Hang on 1 second.
Just wait.
I still have this. Look at this. It's a speaker. So, you know, you roll onto set, right? They put you in these old trailers and you're just sitting by yourself, and it's weird, right? You don't know anybody, but you don't want to bug anybody. Like, hey, you want to sit with me? Like, sitting in your trailer, like trying not to get in anyone's way and just be prepared, whatever. So, just be, you know, easy to work with. So I go into my trailer, and usually there's just your clothes that you're going to be put in there. There was a handwritten note from him and a speaker.
Nice.
Oh.
That's cute.
Yeah. Dagney, welcome to the Castle set. Hope that you love working here as much as I do, or something like that. And a speaker. I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
That's so considerate. That's nice.
It's so Canadian.
Very Canadian. Yeah. Such a nice guy. I mean, that is, boy, I mean, if that doesn't say welcome.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
I love
this speaker, but yeah, that's a good one. And then Patty Keaton, she's just so cute, and she's just so open, and she's talking about her kids to us and her religion, and she's just super cool. You know, and I'm like, can we take a picture with you? She's like, of course. Like, she's, you know, you never know. You don't want to be like, hey.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of people wanting pictures with people, how do you find doing conventions?
Yeah. Well,
how is that?
You know, honestly, I don't do a lot of them. Not by choice. I honestly don't get asked to do a lot of them. I do a charity one here in Los Angeles pretty frequently that I love. It's very small, so you do get to know the same people every year, and so that's really fun because you can say, "How are your kids?" You really get to know them, and and then I did one in Paris. I think that was only my second one that I've ever done.
That sounds like a good one.
That was a good one. That's where I got all those props. I got the milk. The French are hilarious. They are very prepared when they do their photo ops. Like this guy was like, okay, so I want you to choke my boyfriend, and then I will be stabbing you.
Oh,
of course.
Like that's what you okay.
And
like,
you did WhedonCon with Rabia, wasn't it? Like you did.
And she did the Paris one with me. Yeah, WhedonCon.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they're a very small con here, and they're charity based. So every year they give to a different charity. Last year it was the Gay and Lesbian Center here, and they're wonderful. Yeah. And it's a very small one. You play Pictionary with the fans. It's very personalized experience. And then the one in Paris was also kind of it was called CloudCon, and it was also a smaller it was nice because he really, the thing that struck me that I didn't know until I did a convention was how much Buffy touched people. I didn't know that because I was just on it for a short time. I mean, people were telling me stories and crying about how Buffy got them through things. I wasn't aware of the power of that show. So it's pretty cool to sit, across from people and have you say thank you, like that you really helped me through. And I'm like, really? But I just ironed. But thank you. It's really
and so boiled eggs.
Yeah, they're lovely. The Buffy fans are lovely, and they're very passionate.
With COVID and everything. Everything's going online, so you did a virtual panel.
Oh yeah,
Wizard World.
That Wizard World. I forgot about that. That wasn't a long ago picture. Feels like it. That
exactly.
Was
so with COVID, does it give it? Oh. Is everyone okay?
Pop. Sorry.
Is everyone okay?
That was me. Sorry.
Was that your arm, Dagney?
It was.
Can we see both arms, please? Okay, that's good. With COVID, has it given you a lot more time to be more creative? Because as we were talking about before,
it's giving me time to just lay around.
But when there's no work, you've got to create your own. As you were saying before.
It's just giving me a lot of time to eat. Just eat and watch TV. Well, it's
exploding.
At least you're honest.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Like when you look back at your quarantine experience, it was in stages, right? Like it kind of started off like I was very productive. I've been working on a book for a little while, and so I was writing pretty furiously, and I was still going to my little coffee shop before they shut down. And then when they shut down, I feel like I use that as an excuse. Well, my coffee shop's not open, so we're writing on hold for a minute. And then I think I went through we did the Tiger King. Everyone watched Tiger King. Like it came in stages, right?
I didn't.
I did
not.
I did.
Got it. Okay.
Didn't.
It seemed
But you did know Carol Baskin was a bitch, Steve. You did.
Oh my God. Oh, Carol. So I feel like
maybe Dagney, maybe you could play Carol.
Oh, I think that's already taken. I think
there's going to be 700 versions.
That's
Nicolas Cage is playing the Tiger King, isn't he? That's going to be interesting.
I think Kate McKinnon is playing her. And, she is a very good. She looks like her as well too. In a way, I mean, not really, but you know what I mean. It's kind of in like skin tone and
facial. Yes.
Yeah.
Homely. That's what she's.
No, just kidding. Really pretty. No, I think Kate McKinnon's so cute. I love her. But yeah, no, I'm sure it's been like this for everybody. You go through these stages where, and then you feel unmotivated, and then I've been trying lately to get back on and, work on some things, but, it's also okay to also honor the mood of the moment and also just not worry about like pushing yourself and the pressure. Like, people are dying and there was a lot going on. So you don't always have to just keep that train going. I think a lot of people, whether you're an artist or have kids or whatever it is, I think kind of took that from this experience of like, let's step back for a second and, it's not always go, work. You need to like be aware of what's happening and check in on others and that kind of thing. So
yeah, I think it's sort of like, community has sort of come together a little bit more again. So I think, especially, in our societies right now, we're all very separate and busy. I think it's sort of brought us all a little bit more together where we are considerate of others and what their experiences are. And that's one positive to take from it, I guess.
The only other positive, like just specifically to LA, is like you could get anywhere in 10 minutes. That was so nice. No, not too much. I drove the other day and I was like, where are these people going? Why are they out?
Well, your Uber Eats will get there really quick. It's coming hot tonight.
Yes, exactly.
So is there anything on the horizon that we can look forward to seeing you in, Dagney? Or are you just taking your time?
Let's see. I have a play festival. Let me see if I can pull it up, because I haven't even actually posted about it. Thank you guys for creating those lovely, it takes me so long to post something. because like I can never figure out the right size, and I post it and like, oh, my head's cut off, and I mean, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Let me pull out. I'm in a digital festival. It's called Ensemble Studio Theater. Gosh, where is that little thing? It's Ensemble Studio Theater Digifest. I'm working on my book, and I'm like, am I in anything else coming up that I can think of? Things are just kind of getting back, so now I'm kind of like auditioning, and that's the only thing. You do have to do a lot of self tapes.
I had a little idea the other night because there's this big rumor of the Buffy reboot or whatever coming on, and they're saying it's going to be a revival with like a different Slayer. I think Kathy should show up with her own daughter.
Yeah.
As like a neighbor, and no one knows who she is, and she's just
That's
like
hilarious.
that crazy bitch next door that just steals everyone's milk and whatnot.
She like got tons of eggs.
And then of course you'd have one of the original cast come back in and go, I know you, and then you get your fight scene again.
Steve, you'll have to get that to whoever. I don't know who.
I'm putting that out into the universe.
I love it. Let's put it out together. I love it.
Yeah,
well,
I'm putting it out there.
George Lopez, I heard, is also like may come back, but that doesn't mean anything really for my part. But you never know. But everything's coming back. I didn't know Punky Brewster came back.
Oh yeah.
We've got a lot of feelings about Jeff and Kat have got a lot of feelings about Punky Brewster, don't you?
I didn't even know. I was in the dark on that one. But yeah, so that's the Digital Fest we just shot. So that's coming up next weekend. And then hopefully if I talk to you again, which I hope I do because you guys are awesome, I will have my book published and finished.
Ooh,
I also do
fabulous.
Yeah, I also do have another theater thing, but I don't have the dates yet for that. I have a really fun piece called Whitefish. It's about this woman who wants to get a prison pen pal, and she has this. And she goes,
Katrina.
Dagney, we would love that if you could come back again.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
You've been a hoot.
Oh,
And,
you guys
like-
have been. Thank you.
I have one question to ask, and
Yes.
it wouldn't be right to ask
Okay.
if we didn't finish the interview. It's a very important question. Dagney Kerr, do you believe in life after love?
Yes, I do. I was very, like, what's funny? For a second, I just made me laugh because I did a cameo before this, and the girl was doing 30. She was turning 31, and so I changed the lyrics. Do you believe in life after 31? Believe it. It's possible. Your life will not end at 31.
I want to be 31 again.
I know, right?
I know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, we're not. But that's okay. There's life after 31.
Obviously. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dagney.
Oh,
It has
thank
been
you.
amazing to have you. And as we said, when that book's out, girl, let us know, and we would love to have you back.
Oh my gosh, you guys
Bye,
were really
Dagney.
fantastic. Thank you so. It was great to meet you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank-
It's share time, Buffy.